Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk on this Friday, and I was tempted to hint at a snow talk, but I'm not going to do that. I'll explain why, though, that we've got really both ideas here at play over the next 7 days, if not longer. First off, on the Storm Talk side of things, still looking at next Thursday night into Friday, and we'll break that down, some latest data, timing the biggest issue on that one as of last check. In the short range, we're looking good, 63 at the moment, just a few high thin clouds around. We've got 59 in Hardinsburg, 63 in Litchfield, and 63 into Munfordville. We'll add about 3 degrees, looks like, to that later on for this afternoon. Our main issue, though, later tonight and tomorrow is going to be this wave that's going to be passing to our south, heading through portions of the Carolinas and deepening to a bigger storm offshore the East Coast. But this little short wave attached to it on the northern fringe here is going to deepen as well as we head into the mid-Atlantic about this time tomorrow. And that is going to add a very interesting scenario for some of you as we head into the next 24 hours. We'll start off, though, with some rain. That looks to be after midnight tonight. So you got plans for tonight, this Friday night evening, I think it'll be fine. But overnight, rain showers will begin to break out. Okay, so let me show you Futurecast. You'll see the clouds increase. There's the rain chance about 4 o'clock in the morning. Scattered showers moving through, but I want to draw your attention to the northeast section of this map. Notice the temperatures at 8 a.m. 41 in Covington, 40 in Frankfort. Watch what happens by the time we get into the afternoon. Covington drops to 35. Frankfort still at 40, 37 in Covington, 39 in Lexington. Louisville, by the way, stays in the lower 40s and then begins to rise slightly as the rain eases. That's wave number one, and then we get a strong northerly flow, chilly flow on Sunday. Another little wave tilted more north-south than east-west. We'll kind of dive into Tennessee, and then it may produce some rain or snow showers here, mainly south of Louisville, and we may luck out and see a little sun here on Sunday if that holds out, especially later on in the afternoon. Now, what I'm about to discuss, and this is my disclaimer, the setup tomorrow is, synoptically speaking, in meteorology, is an interesting one, but nothing major is expected to happen. But we want to be as accurate as possible, but I don't want my detailed analysis of what I'm about to show you to be taken as hype, or is it I'm blowing it out of proportion, or I'm trying to, as some refer to as, trying to get clickbait. I am trying to explain the complicated factors that come into play on Saturday. So, to start with, let me show you the Canadian model from our friends at Weatherbell. Here's the center of the surface low. Here is the 850 temp. This is about -3. Notice where it's draped. A -3 is cold, but not cold enough really for a main snow event in March. In January, yeah. March, nah, it's too borderline. And the precipitation here up to the north. But watch that -3 degree line. See where it is, that dashed line. There it is in the morning hours. Look what happens in the afternoon. See that dip that happens as we head into the afternoon? It dips right over the bluegrass area of Kentucky. That is where the northeast flow really begins to kick in. Does this sound familiar to you? It should. We went through this about 2 weeks ago when anywhere from Madison, Indiana, Oldham County, even parts of Jefferson County, all the way to the east, picked up some snow. East Kentucky got a hammer with 8 inches of snow. Now this setup does not look to be the same in that perspective, but the synoptic as far as how this took place is very similar, and the only caveat compared to last time is the ground, especially the subsurface, is certainly much warmer. So that is going to be a counterbalance to anything as far as frozen that touches the ground is going to have a much tougher time accumulating if it's snow. But the potential for it to have snowflakes falling, yes, that is certainly possible given what I'm looking at here. And let me dive into more detail. This is looking at the soundings. Again, this is the ground level. And this is looking up. All right. This is the sounding out of the Madison, Indiana area. Now, we don't have soundings for every location within Wave Country. We've got some right here in Louisville, and we've got one for Madison. They kind of determine how they plot these. But this is the Madison sounding. Here is the freezing line, 0 degrees Celsius. The green is the moisture or the dew point. Red is temperature. Note when they're close together, saturated. You've got precipitation falling, especially as you go all the way up the column. We call this the lower layers of the atmosphere of the column. If it is saturated, you've got precipitation. When they begin to spread out, you got dry air, and we see that way up aloft, but it's saturated on Saturday morning. So at this point, it's showing that our surface temperature, because the red line surface temperature, it's to the right of the zero, which means we're above freezing, and it's determining the precipitation. Here is it's hard to read this, I know. Precipitation is rain. Now you want to look at the furthest dot to the left at that point, the most recent dot, and without animating this, it's a challenge, but this is the most recent dot right in here, showing rain. This red zone is where you become into the situation of sleet and or freezing rain or snow. You get into a complicated mix at that point once you get close to the red zone here, and once you get left of the red zone, it's pure snow. Now watch the dot here. There it is, showing rain as we head into the morning hours on Saturday, and then by midday and early afternoon, it scoots over. Almost. I mean, that close to entering into the frozen zone. Can't get much closer than that. Surface temperature, though, still above freezing to the right of the zero. What you can't see, and I wish you could because I didn't clip it correctly, but the wind flow here, just above the surface, is out of the east-northeast, very strong, which is allowing for that push. You see that little bit of a dip to the west, that nudge there in the lower layers of the atmosphere, trying to do the dynamic cooling effect, basically, of trying to cool the lower layers of the atmosphere, which would allow potentially for some wet snow. It's a possibility, is all I'm trying to say. For those of you that are around Madison, the bluegrass area of Kentucky, I'm talking about, maybe Frankfort, Lexington, Cincinnati for sure, maybe Shelby County. But as far as Louisville goes, here's Louisville sounding, and we are showing a northeast flow. You can't see it, but we don't have as much of a nudge. We're not as saturated. We've got some dry air a little lower in the atmosphere, and our furthest left dot is not even close to the threatening zone for snow. That is the sounding for Louisville. All right, so we'll watch it, but I still think if you live in this area, and I'll show you a map in a second, this is the area to watch for that northeast push back as we end into Saturday with falling temperatures. Then Sunday, this next little wave, again, digs in and digs to the south. It's a colder day. We're -6 aloft on Sunday, so certainly it's going to be a colder day compared to Saturday. And it looks lighter. There's not as much moisture, but this could be snow showers mixed in with rain, but again, surface temperatures should be above freezing. So having said all of that, this is how I'm taking an early stab at any type of grassy accumulations. I think anything that would be a little noteworthy is probably going to be found where that core of the colder air and a little more dramatic in that dip will happen. And that would be in Ohio, maybe to Cincinnati. But what I've tried to do is I tried to account for the idea of a light grassy accumulation that could backtrack throughout Saturday morning and midday as that northeast flow tightens up with falling temperatures in this area. So you may wake up in Carrollton and Madison and temperatures in the 40s. You may fall into the 30s, though, when that northeast wind kicks in. Now, could this go all the way to Louisville? Yes, that is possible. And we could see a similar setup to Carrollton. But at this point, there's no data that is indicating that I can find. So we're going to keep it rain. Wouldn't run a snowflake, but mainly rain and temperatures in the 40s. And once we get into the afternoon and the precipitation rate eases, that's when we'll see our high, which may make it into the upper 40s. But it's an interesting setup. We'll watch it. Now, you're seeing this here, very light coating. I'm trying to account for that Sunday little dive because we are colder. It wouldn't be surprising to see a few cars get a little bit of grass on them or maybe some rooftops. Not a big deal. Louisville, of course, would be in between the two. I know, I can hear you moaning and groaning. Or maybe not. Maybe you're okay with that. All right, then quickly, because I'm running out of time. Tuesday, we begin to warm up. Here are the winds at 925 millibars on Tuesday. These are strong winds, pretty close to the surface. So very windy and warm on Tuesday. Really strong winds aloft Thursday night and Friday. But that's the thing. It's Thursday night and Friday. Strong winds, which this screams. And this is well over the threshold for potential for damaging winds. In fact, when you look at the tilt everything sideways, starting, again, you read this in current time here, right to left, you can see a pocket of gusty winds there on Tuesday, close to the surface that could be tapped into. So we may see a wind advisory Tuesday. Strong winds, though, at the front Thursday night. But as we look at the instability to tap into those winds, during the day on Thursday, it's strongest to our west. And then once we get into Thursday night, it wanes. So it's a classic situation of gusty winds aloft and not much instability to tap into. It would be a nocturnal event. We'll watch it because timing is everything on that. Here's the Canadian, shows the same thing, even shows the chance maybe for a few flakes in the backside, maybe, next Friday night or Saturday, and that's still a big maybe. Now, real quick, the long range Euro went out all the way through April. Look at the NAO, and look at the Arctic Oscillation especially, and the PNA. I gotta tell you, I don't think we've seen, I'm going on a big limb here, but I don't think we've seen the last of accumulating snow even here in Louisville. Now, it is showing colder than normal at times. Some big anomalies showing up in April. But you got to keep in mind, our normal temperature is also going up. So colder than normal, our normal is going to go up into the 60s. So colder than normal could be only 40s or 50s, which isn't that dramatic. But it still could get close to snow potential. So this could be a very interesting end of March, and April could be very interesting as well. But lots of back and forths. Stay tuned as we watch it carefully.